Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I would love to welcome you to the fourth annual Madam Walker Legacy Center 2023 Summer Institute. My name is Mariah. I am the new Programs and Outreach Manager here at the Walker, and I am super excited to be your camp counselor this year, along with my amazing co-host, Mr. Griff. Before we jump in, though, I would love for you all to drop in the chat where you are from. What city are you in? What state are you in? Let us know. Are you here in Indy? Drop it in the chat when you get a chance. While you're posting, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are. Our mission here at the Madam Walker Legacy Center is to inspire, engage, and empower individuals in our culturally diverse community, both here in Indianapolis, where the Walker is based, and online. No matter where you live, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we hope you come back to learn, grow, and celebrate the legacy of Madam C.J. Walker again and again. Before we begin, I would love to tell you more about our history as well. So the Walker is a significant piece of our nation's history and is listed on the Register of National Historic Landmarks. Can we get some claps for that, Mr. Griff?
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
Yes, we are named after Madam C.J. Walker because our building was once the headquarters and manufacturing plant of Madam C.J. Walker's hair care and beauty products. To this day, the structure still boasts much of its original 1927 architecture, but we are more than just a building. Based in Indianapolis, we are an integral part of the community. The Walker Legacy Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving the legacy and providing cultural education, promoting social justice, supporting entrepreneurship, and empowering you all, to become the next generation of entrepreneurs and civic leaders. All right, campers, this time I will go ahead and turn it over to my co-host, my lead camp counselor, Mr. Griff, and I would love to tell you more about who he is as well. He is a comedian for over 25 years, a father of 5, and you can hear him every day, every Monday through Friday on AM 1310, The Light on Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell. I want y'all to go ahead and give it up wherever you are. Put your hands together for Mr. Griff.
Yes, y'all already know. Stop playing. Show me love. And then Miss Mariah, what we do is we do this in the chat. You put any letter you want to in the chat, and that means applause. That's a whole bunch of applause. Y'all remember, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am here. And I'm excited to be here, ladies and gentlemen. That is Mariah. She's going to be hanging out with us on our 4th year in this 4 air. Let me just ask you a few questions. So she was telling everybody my business and how long I've been doing comedy. Actually, today, Miss Mariah is the 12th. Yes.
You are paused. I cannot hear you. Let's see here.
For 8 years, 2 months. How about that? Count it. I counted all. That is my bad. I got to calm down. I'm too excited over here. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. Well, I was telling you, I said, actually, Ms. Mariah, I've been doing comedy today for 28 years, 2 months, 3 weeks, and 5 days. How about that? Ms. Mariah, if you were an animal, well, here, how about this? What's your favorite animal in the whole world when you think of animals?
Elephants.
Now, why?
I love everything that elephants represent. They're beautiful. And though they are huge, they are some of the most loving and nurturing and protecting animals in the world.
Elephants are awesome. You wouldn't be a Delta, would you?
I am not.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And for the kids out there, put in the chat what your favorite animal is and why do you like that animal. Let me see. If I had a favorite animal, then this is going to sound a little crazy, Miss Mariah, but crazy is good. We like different. I actually love the, what's that thing in Florida? It's not like a dolphin. It's not like a seal. It's in between a dolphin and a seal. It has starts with an M. It can't be my favorite animal if I don't remember it like that. Little kids. Actually, it cannot be my favorite animal if I can't remember. Okay, I'll give you another one. I'll give you like my top. It definitely can't be my. I like a kangaroo.
Okay, that's different. Why?
And somebody told me what I was thinking of was a manatee. That is exactly what I was thinking. Tyson said it's the dolphin. Tyson said anything underwater. Ooh, Star says eels are my favorite. Eels are awesome. And I'll tell you why a kangaroo. Couple things. Number one, kangaroos are super duper fast and they can hop. So their legs are so strong that they can hop like way faster than when we think. You know, you see the cartoons and you see the kangaroos, and then they also keep their young in a little pouch right next to them. So how cool is that? A little pouch. Jackie says cats because they are cute. Dogs are my favorite animal. Oh, Miss Mariah, do you have a dog or a cat?
I don't, but I used to have 2 dogs. I love dogs. They're great.
Kylan says
cats. I don't know about cats.
Dogs are awesome. Since last year, you guys, I got another dog. You remember I had a little Jack Russell named Madison. Well, now I have a poodle named Marilyn. And for some reason, Mr. Griff thought because my Jack Russell, I had a lot of friends who had dogs and their dogs was going to heaven. Mr. Griffin thought, I'm not going to be sad like my friends and I'm going to get another dog just in case. But what I didn't know is that my other dog would not like this new dog. They were not cool.
It takes
not cool at all. Sanai says Sanai says dogs because they're playful. Preston and Parker cheetahs because that's a Mariah. What is your favorite color?
Orange. Orange is my favorite color.
Kids, if I could get y'all to put your favorite color. And let me tell you, I'm not one of those people who say, what's your favorite color? And Mr. Griff likes a lot of colors. But if I had to pick my top 3, number 1 would be turquoise or teal or aqua blue. There go some greens. Miss Mariah is loving orange and olive green. I like olive green. Give us 2. How about that? Miss Mariah did it right. We need 2 colors. We just don't need 1. We need 2. Let me get 2 from you. Pinks, some sky blues, some purples, black and white and teal. Layla, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm black and white and turquoise all day. I could rock those. Rose gold. Let me find it. I'm loving rose gold. Rose gold.
You can never go wrong with pink.
You can never go wrong with red, I don't think, because red, pink, and green. Look at Marie. Okay. And then the last thing I want to ask you, Miss Mariah, and I'll ask, what is your favorite occupation when you see somebody do it? Do you like a runner? Do you like a waitress? Do you like what's your favorite occupation to watch?
Well, I'll have to say, because I'm an artist, I love artists. Performers, music, poetry, love it.
I love that. Come on. I'm an artist as well, but for some reason, I don't know why. I love people that do construction. I love the people on the side of the road that hold the stop signs and turn the stop signs, and the people that be the
They're important
bulldozers.
people. Those
They're the
are
most important people in the world. Tyson said he loves to watch cheerleaders. Tyson, I also love to watch cheerleaders, though. If that's an occupation, Preston says music, specifically beats, because it makes me calm. Ooh, and the drums. Parker says the drums. Ooh, I like that. Preston and Parker, like singers, ultimate basketball. Come on now. Layla, that's important. You got to love a sport. Okay. And my last thing, Miss Mariah, before we kick off year 4, my last thing, if you could be anything in the whole world, what would you be?
That is so hard. If I could be anything in
like right now, like as soon as today is over, you would be that thing. What would it be?
I would, since that question is so open-ended.
It is a very big question, and you're absolutely right. If
I could be anything, I would be chilling on a flight, headed to another country to enjoy some good food. That's what I would be.
Miss Mariah is my new favorite person. You understand me? Oh, and way to think about it. And way to think about it slow. Marie said she would be a princess. I know that's right. Princess is rule. Preston said a scientist. Parker said a football player. Colin says a singer and a dancer like Alicia Keys. Yes.
Layla said a billionaire. I love it.
Yes. Investor. So Layla, you're going to have to call Maya when you make your money, because an actor and a programmer, a trillionaire. If I could be anything.
A trillionaire, put me on that flight, please. Out the country.
We're going to need tickets. I do love actors and programmers, and I like how you young people have two things. I don't want you to grow up, and when somebody say, what you want to be when you grow up, and you just say one thing, because if they ask you what you want to be when you grow up right now, I want to be a billionaire. And that's what I'm talking about right there. So I'm going to go over the Mariah. I'm going to see if we do them a special way here. Rule number 1. Let me see who can remember rule number 1 in the chat. I mean, then I'll know who is here already. Who can remember rule number 1? I need a let me see, is that rule number 1? No. Rule number 4, but just because you said that, I'm still happy that you even remember. Be kind. No. Okay, I'm gonna help y'all. Rule number 1, and remember what I'm doing with my hand. Rule number 1, Miss Mariah, is pay attention. You gotta, even if somebody say, Mama, you gotta, rule number 1, do that with your head. Everybody just put your hand on your forehead. Rule number 1, pay attention. Pay attention. Rule number 2, ask questions in the chat. You get to do that with your fingers. Rule number star. I actually like love others. Great rule. How about that? That's not on here, but I will add it. Rule number 1, pay attention. Rule number 2, ask questions in the chat. Rule number 3, come prepared. You don't want to be this person. Where is my? Rule number 1, pay attention. Rule number 2, ask questions in the chat. Rule number 3, come prepared. And rule number 4, my favorite one, and I do like that, CJ. CJ said, be patient. I will add that. Rule number 4 is very simply, be respectful. How about that? So Y'all know how we do this. I'm going to throw it to Miss Mariah. She's going to tell you a little bit more, and then I'm going to introduce the guests. How about that?
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Mr. Griff. Huge shout out. Thank you to all of the parents who have taken the time to register you all today for the workshop. Please be reminded that we have this workshop every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday throughout the month of July. So we are here. Meet us virtually for camp until July 27th. Okay. The Madam Walker Summer Institute is a free virtual summer camp for youth ages 6 through 14. And each week we are going to cover a different topic. So this week we're going to talk about social justice and the arts. Next week we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and philanthropy. And the last week we're going to showcase science and technology. So a lot to cover, but we're going to have a whole lot of fun. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it right on back over to Mr.
Okay, so we are going to introduce you guys into your first guest. And this is always exciting to me because every year we learn something so different. And this is our 4th year. And I'm not one of those people. Hey, Janelle, just randomly saying hi. Hey, Janelle, I saw you. We always want to pay attention to our guests because we can learn so much cool stuff. If you just listen to random people, let me tell y'all something. As a comedian, I ask everybody every day off stage, how you doing? What you do for a living? Where you about to go? Where you going? I learned so much. So it's my pleasure today to kick off the Madam Walker Legacy Center 2023 Virtual Summer Institute by introducing the Indy 10 Black Lives Matter. They're based in Indianapolis, Indiana, and the Indy 10 was founded 9 years ago. And they have quickly emerged to become a strong activist organization that works to spread awareness and to protest many injustices that we see going on in the world today. So they're very, very important. And since their inception 7 years ago, they've grown not only to spread knowledge, but work with other local organizations to ensure overall wellness for Black people through food pantries. Those are important. Self-defense classes, you got to join one of those. Self-love events and mental health task force. Today, we're joined by Miss Jessica, a community organizer with Indy 10 Black Lives Matter. Miss Jessica empowers people to reclaim and recast their past, present, and future. And when she's not advocating for radical justice, Miss Jessica loves reading, crocheting, dancing, playing chess, and laughing. Gonna have to invite you to one of my comedy shows, Miss Jessica. She was born and raised in Indianapolis. Ladies and gentlemen, camp kids, give it up for the Indy 10 Black Lives Matter. How about that?
Hey y'all, thanks for having me. Love the Jamaican air horns. I need a Jamaican air horn in my life. Just one more noise maker.
Me too.
I'm like, how can I download that to my phone to carry around with me to do my own intros?
And then if they call you and tell you to pay a bill and you're like, you owe 200. Hold on 1 second.
Drake say I got bills so big I call them Williams. That's how I feel. So I need a big air horn to go with the big bills.
Yes.
I am so excited to be back with y'all. Like Mr. Griff said, my name is Jessica Louise. My pronouns are they, them, and she, but I go by Jess, or y'all can call me Miss Jess, whichever you're most comfortable with. I joined Indy 10 in 2020 when my local police force killed 3 people in the span of 8 hours, including a pregnant woman. My work centers on collaborating with systemically marginalized people. Those could be Black people, brown people, undocumented folks, incarcerated folks, youth, people who are usually left out of the narrative of our society. And I'm currently working as an organizing manager for a local reproductive justice organization in Indiana. So when we were last together, we talked about the power of youth. We talked about Claudette Colvin, who launched the Montgomery bus boycott at 15. We talked about Mary Copeny, who drew global attention to the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. at the age of 10 that resulted in $100 million in support. And today I want to talk to you about how to make things happen in the spirit of Black August. Now, who's heard of Black August? Put in the chat or raise your hand if you've heard of Black August.
I don't
Black
think I've heard of
August,
it, Miss Jess.
you're going to learn today, Mr.
I'm
Griff.
here to learn. Oh, Janelle says she knows. Oh, it's a bunch of people
Janelle
that
says
know.
she knows. Okay.
DJ says
Do
he
we have the
knows.
ability to bring someone off of mute to say what they know about Black August? Maybe two people? We're not there yet. That's all right.
We could put it in the chat though. Jess,
in the chat.
you and CJ, you guys say you know what Black August is. Just put it in the chat real quick if you know, so we can see. But that's awesome that you know. Mr. Griff doesn't even know.
I love that.
And when
We're
she
definitely
said
going to learn
Black
about
August,
Black
I
August.
went like this.
Not the crickets. Not the crickets. A lot of people have those crickets. So we're a few weeks away from the most radical time of the year. My two favorite times of the year are Black August and the winter holiday season. So Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all of those.
There's CJ.
Yes.
CJ says Black
Exactly
August is
right.
a tradition that originated in California prisons, as well as other incarcerated Black men who sought freedom. And then CJ said, is that right?
That's exactly right, CJ. Thank you for sharing that with us. So CJ's right. Black August is a tradition that started in the California prisons in the 1970s after the deaths of the brothers Jonathan and George Jackson. Something that is routinely left out of that narrative is that these were young people. George Jackson was 19 when he was sentenced to a 1-to-life prison sentence. That means the administrators at the prison had complete control over what he served. If they wanted him to serve a year, he could have served a year. If they wanted him to serve life, he could have served life. He was radicalized by a friend of his in the prison system, W.L. Nolan. And W.L. Nolan was killed by a prison guard. In the hubbub of all of that, another prison guard was killed, and George Jackson was accused of killing that person and was asked to stand trial. At his trial, his 17-year-old brother came in armed with a few friends and demanded the release of his brother. His brother did not live to see the fruition of George's release, but we still honor the spirit in which he wanted his brother to be loosed from the American carceral system. So at 17, he made a decision, he made an impact. And even though that might seem radical to some, we want to reframe it. It's also a time to call into present the necessity of action when we face injustice or inequity.
Exactly. Come on. Come on. That's all I hear.
I want to honor that both brothers are now resting in power. And I hope that we all continue to pass the baton to move forward in abolition and community care. Now, the tenets of Black August are study, fight, train, fast, and in recent years, a call for rest and play has been made, along with the commitment that comes along with the discipline for liberation. So the first aspect of it is study. Yep, CJ is exactly right. He went there for a lower level crime, for allegedly stealing $70 from a gas station in 1961. Really calls into question what the necessity of imprisoning people for crimes that are committed against the state are. Thank you,
Come
CJ.
on. CJ mama must be involved with y'all.
CJ
is on
it. I love it. CJ, I want to hear from CJ after
I need
about
to get
what
my
is
weight
going
up.
on.
CJ got it
So
together.
CJ, you'll appreciate this first aspect is studying. Now I know it's summer break. If y'all aren't in, year-round school, you like it's summer. I'm not really trying to study like that. That's fine. You can get to studying however it is that you can. You can use the Libby app and go through your local library to register for a library card. I would suggest to read Octavia Butler's The Parable of the Talents and The Parable of the Sower. She also has graphic novels that are out that can kind of help you get acclimated to the time. Octavia Butler is an incredible author, and she really speaks to Afrofuturism. And a lot of the things that are going on right now are things that she wrote about in her books. If reading isn't your thing, get connected to audiobooks. Now, you can also study where you live. Studying isn't just about, getting in the streets. Asada Shakur famously said, she didn't want to just go away to college and not be concerned about what was going on in her neighborhood. She wanted to be connected to the streets. So in addition to studying, you can also study where you live. We talked about this last time. Think about what's available in your neighborhood, what's missing in your neighborhood that other neighborhoods might have, what's present in your neighborhood that's missing in others, and why does that matter at your age? So when I think about my neighborhood, I live in a working class neighborhood in Indianapolis. What that means is that I'm not in the suburbs, but I'm also not in under-resourced neighborhoods as well. Within walking distance, there is a grocery store, there's a library, there's a major university. I can go to the laundromat. I can go shopping for clothes if I want to.
I
Those are
like the
all things that are
laundromat, Miss
accessible.
Jess.
I do too. I
I
had
grew
to
up. I grew up on
refamiliarize.
those. I actually have a washing machine and dryer at the house, and I've been to the laundromat a couple times. I just love talking to random people. I promise you.
I bet. I love it. So when you think about what's available in your neighborhood that's missing in others, then we start to think about who has access to things that other don't. These type of things matter. When CJ brought up that George Jackson was accused of stealing $70 from a gas station in 1961, think if George Jackson had access to youth programs, if George Jackson had access to places to go after school, if his family made a living wage, if he lived in a neighborhood that met his basic needs, what do you think the likelihood of him being accused of stealing $70 from a gas station back in the 60s might have been? Think about the
Right.
neighborhoods that you live in. Have you noticed that if you're in a more resource neighborhood, that the presence of crime seems to be lower than other neighborhoods? Or if you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have as many resources as others, have you noticed that your neighborhood is missing certain things and that the presence of crime or police or state involvement or social workers might be higher than some of the other people that you know? It also
Mm,
has to do with schools. Does your school have the books that other schools do? Do the teachers at your school look like you? When you go to
right.
compete in sports or show choir competitions, who are you competing against? That all contributes towards your socialization and how you're going to react as a member of this society. You also want to study who makes the decisions. How are you involved in those decisions? And are those decisions made with or without you the best decision possible? Youth are capital. And I hate to put it like that, but y'all are. When you go to school, they count how many of you are at school, and schools get paid based on the number of students that are present by the time they serve lunch. When you are in your neighborhoods and something like the census comes around, they count the number of kids who are in your household so that they know either how many beds to put at a community justice center, AKA a jail or a prison, or how much square feet are going into a community center. So you matter. These are all things that you should be curious about and be willing to study so that the neighborhoods and communities that you live in are ones that you're an active participant in. The next aspect of it is to fast. How many of you have heard of fasting, whether it's from a religious standpoint or a cultural standpoint? Mr. Griff got a question. What's up, Mr. Griff?
Star said she's heard of fasting. I was okay. A lot of people. Oh, good. Okay. So good. We're talking to some smart kids right here, Miss Jess. Fasting. I wrote everything down too. Study, fight, pray, fast. Fasting. Tell us the importance. I know I fast when I need clarity. I might go 3 days or a couple days with just water or not eating until the sun goes down, which is forever in Atlanta. I think the sun go down at like 8:47. So maybe I have a light dinner then, but tell us the importance of fasting.
So fasting takes a little more discipline than I, always have, because I like to eat, I like to enjoy, I like to indulge. It's a lot going on in the world, and I consider like my self-care is indulgent. So fasting kind of reframes that self-indulgence. It allows you to abstain from certain things, to deny yourself certain things, so that, like Mr. Griff said, you can have clarity on other things. Last summer, I believe it was last summer or the summer before last, I fasted with a group of friends, and it really brought clarity to me as far as what I wanted my friendship groups to look like. Some of my
I like
friendships were
that.
strengthened because I was hungry.
Correct. Correct.
Some of my friendships I noticed didn't make it through my fasting phase because, you know, when, like Mr. Griff said, when you have clarity of mind, you start to see things as they are. Now, as youth, I'm not necessarily encouraging y'all to abstain from food unless you do so
Do you
because
see these things in the chat, Miss Jessica? Sorry, CJ said fasting is a regular discipline. It helps us grow in our faith. CJ. And
CJ
then
is on it.
Ms. Moss says, deny yourself behaviors and things other than food. And we also have a participant from South Africa. I was just there last week, Ms. Jess, that's watching, listening, and saying this is so interesting from South Africa. So go ahead, Ms. Jess, you international you.
So the thing that you can do with fasting is you can replace your, it can be anything. You can choose to abstain from video games for 30 days. You can choose to abstain from social media, which is something that I've done. Some people fast for religious or cultural reasons, and you can do that in solidarity with them as well and get to know more about their cultural reasons as far as fasting. It's a good time to get together with friends, neighbors, community members, students, mentors, and be more intentionally curious about how to meet each other's needs in the absence of something, which is really what fasting does for me. When I think about abstaining from something, it allows my mind to think of what can I do for myself or for others in place of this.
That's
So the next
good. Look at CJ. Fast and also
CJ is on
strengthens.
it.
Fast and also strengthens power of self-control, prevents wrongful desires. Let me get my seat. You know what? See?
Now we're going to go on to the next couple of aspects, which are some of my favorite. Train. Why do you need training as a youth, as a young person? What is the significance of you getting training? Go ahead and put it in the chat.
So I would have to imagine, Ms. Jess, so you can know what you're working on. If you haven't trained, how would you don't want to go in blind, right?
That's exactly right. So training is another discipline that you can commit to. When you train to things, you can contribute to the neighborhoods and communities that you're in a meaningful way if you're able to. Training can span from media training. I've had media training and it teaches me how to control the narrative when I'm talking with media. It was really instrumental a few years ago when Indy 10 was talking to the media about Drajon Reed and Mikhail Rose being killed by IMPD. We were able to clearly communicate our demands. Media training can also assist you with communicating a message on social media. I'm going to drop into the chat a media kit that I and other groups have put together. If you're interested in communicating a narrative or a message out and you want to share that on social media or even with your local news, you're welcome to use that media kit to do so. I would also encourage, yes. I would also encourage folks to look into CPR training. A number of our neighborhoods and communities are impacted by some sort of violence, whether or not we acknowledge or have lived experience inside of that violence. That violence can range from gun violence to intracommunal violence, to household violence, to legislative violence. Some of the more physical violence, some of the more physically immediate violence, like gun violence, can be catered to from a CPR and street medic training. As youth, y'all are essential in doing these things. Think about parties or gatherings that you've been to where something may have erupted. whether it was a fight or something escalated beyond that point, and how critical having CPR training or street medic training might be to that. I'm going to include a link that you all can access to do CPR training online. It is on the Red Cross site, so I've already made sure that it is a valid resource. You can also
Thank you for
contact the
that.
Do No Harm Coalition for street medic training. And street medic training is just another extension of the CPR training. It's a way for, if you're out with your friends, you can make sure, it can be as simple as making sure that everyone is hydrated if you go to a concert. It can
That's
be
good.
as simple as making sure that you're checking your own body needs, your own bio needs, if you're out and about. All of these things are within reach. And then I would also encourage folks to get connected to conflict transformation and restorative justice training. We all know that we are not without conflict. Everyone has conflict, whether it's at an organization, whether it's interpersonal, whether it's in community. Learning how to de-escalate conflict, or learning your role or how you approach conflict, is critical in establishing and sustaining relationships with each other. I remember when I was in high school and middle school, I had a conflict with a teacher, and being able to talk to people who weren't necessarily involved in my conflict and getting pointers from them on how to navigate it was essential to my relationship with those schools and with those authority figures.
You know, Miss Jess, we had a program in our high school called conflict management, and we had to go to a training. So basically, if some kids got in a fight, they would have the kids de-escalated. So, I mean, you could say, I don't want to go conflict, then you can get suspended. Or you could go to conflict management. And we did go to a training for 2 days, actually, to de-escalate, well, how did you feel when that happened? And then we brought them together, and then they normally left on her. That was my bad. I thought you said something else. So conflict management is very important. You want to make sure. Sometimes things be accidents. Oh man, I bumped into you. You dropped something. It broke. I was in a rush. That was my bad for being in a rush. It doesn't. As a comedian, I'm always de-escalating, calming people down, letting them know it's not that serious. But I actually love that, Miss Jess. That's important.
Absolutely. And what you've described is not just conflict management, but it's conflict transformation. You use humor to transform the environment that you're in, to de-escalate conflict in a way that's not going to erupt in violence. Or if it does, the violence is more mitigated and it's more easily handled by people so that the state doesn't have to be involved. So you're a conflict transformer, Mr. Griff. I wish I had a certificate for you.
Hold on, I got one for me right here.
So the next aspect of Black August and youth organizing is to fight. This is probably one of my favorite aspects of Black August. We are as powerful as we would like to be. Fighting is not just physical. Fighting is sustaining yourself and others. Fighting is resisting oppression. Fighting is standing up for yourself and others. It's advocacy, it's activism, it's organizing. As youth, you have a powerful voice. As I've said, the world does not move without counting you. So you should make sure that you count. I'm going to include a petition if you'd like to sign it or look into it, of youth who are organizing around Stop Cop City. Stop Cop City is a movement that is taking place in Atlanta and honestly nationwide and globally to make sure that hundreds of acres of forest are not cut down for a public safety training facility. Now, I can't speak to everyone on this call and your relationship with the state or with the police force, but I think we can look at the state of our communities and our neighborhoods and our schools, and we can reimagine what we could do with the resources that would be going into facilities like this if they were given to our schools and our neighborhoods instead. Earlier, we talked about what might be missing from your neighborhoods. Think if your neighborhood doesn't have a grocery store, but your city or state is committed to pumping tens and hundreds of millions of dollars into a budget just to build a facility, how you or someone else might feel if instead of committing $90 million to this facility and cutting down a forest could instead be put into community centers? What if you and your friends had safe places to play or to rest or to record music or podcasts or to read or to go and travel? What if you had that instead of that money taking place?
I
So I'm
like
going to
that.
go ahead and include that petition. You're welcome to look it over. Fighting is also about resisting. The thing that I love about youth most and why I love working with youth is because there is a naturally resistant spirit. You
Yes.
question things, you're curious about the world around you, you challenge authority, you don't just take what's put in front of you. That's okay. That's a strength. Resisting right now is a strength. Our world is completely changing, even from the ways that it did when I was a youth, when Mr. Griff was a youth, when Miss Mariah was a youth. The world is changing. So the thing that you can do to step into your power is to make sure that you're resisting. Resisting isn't always protesting and direct actions. I get a lot of applause for some of the actions that I've taken during the uprisings of 2020, pulling up to the mayor's house, pulling up to the chief of police's house,
Wait a minute, you
going
pulled
to
up to
city
the mayor
council.
house, Miss Jess?
Allegedly, allegedly.
That's what they spread. That's the rumors they spreading online.
That's how rumors get started. Can sometimes be a large, big, bold action, but also resistance starts from the beginning. If you think about it, y'all are in the beginnings of your life. And so if you're not ready to take those big, bold actions that others might feel that are necessary, you can still find ways to resist. A number of states, cities, countries, nations have bans that are taking place for books. You all deserve to be able to have access to literature, to be able to say, I do want to read this, I don't want to read that. One of the most powerful ways that you can resist some of the book bans that are taking place is to register for a library card. You can start book exchanges or book clubs. When there are community events, you can ask to hold a book exchange in that. You can also start community libraries if there's not a library that's close to you. You can meet up with friends and you can discuss things that you've read, and you can be more curious about some of the things that the state or your school or your neighborhood or even your family are trying to keep from you. Now, I'm not suggesting to be so resistant that you negotiate or challenge your way out of your livelihood. But it's okay to be more curious about why people are wanting to keep certain things away from you and what those certain things might empower you to do if you had access to them.
Miss Jess, I just recently moved from Texas, and the governor of Texas, who's not a fun person, took 18 books out of around 88,000 schools, and those books included To Kill a Mockingbird and very, very important books. So I love that right there. That's very important.
Absolutely. And I put that and another book in there. I'm also happy I can send you all a couple of book lists after this. I'm sure I have access to some. Now, some students have organized walkouts to communicate the severity of their needs and concerns to their schools. That's also something that you might consider as you're considering what it means to resist. But make sure you understand why you're resisting. It is cool to, resist against the state, to challenge authority. Make sure that you have a reason and that you're checking in with folks and that you're making sure that you're keeping yourself and others safe. If you do coordinate a walkout from your school, please make sure that you talk with a local legal defense fund or that you get local legal direction on how to proceed if you're under the age of 18. You can also register folks to vote. Everyone is not a fan of electoral politics. I keep up with it simply because it's the nature of my job, but you can also be curious about how to get people to the polls if they want to vote. Be curious about who's running. What do they have to say about youth? Have youth representation in their campaigns or their administration? How do they know what y'all want if you're not represented? Make sure that whoever is speaking for y'all actually has access to you and that they've heard from you. Layla says she's reading To Kill a Mockingbird right now. That's good. That's a great book to get you curious about what's going on in the world and what has gone on. Greg Abbott and other state governors have decided to ban books from school.
That's right.
I'm in Indiana, and I believe in Hamilton County, the library had to restructure some of the books that were on display, and they moved it to the adult section. And you know, it can feel.
It's these little things that they're doing, right, Miss Jess? It's just that little move right there, right? So now you're a kid who won't even go in that direction because why? You're a kid. Why would you go to the adult? Like, yeah, I never heard that before, but that makes sense.
Yeah. And then finally, one of the last things of Black August, which has only come up in recent years, is to rest and play. There's a lot going on in this world, and we can only sustain ourselves if we are filling ourselves up. You might have heard, self-care isn't selfish. I take it a step further to say that we have to indulge in self-care. It is our duty to love each other and support each other. Assata was clear in her declaration of that. Absolutely. So for resting and playing, I always remember Toni Morrison saying that the function of racism is to exhaust you. We can resist and reset by insisting on our own personal joy. I'm curious, what do y'all do to cultivate joy in your lives? What does self-care look like as a youth? Do you get to play at school?
For me, Miss Jess, it's a manicure, a pedicure. I like to just be by myself sometimes and walk by myself and look at birds and really just bring it down real. It don't have nothing to do with nothing else. Look at the spider. I watched a spider make a web the other day and I was like, this is so awesome. Sanai said it's closed for her.
I love that. And Star, you bring up an excellent point. If you're homeschooled, the benefit of homeschooling is that you can curate your academic process. You are the student who has the teacher in front of you. Make it make sense. I am a fan of play. I wish that in college we had actually gotten time periods to play more. If you're homeschooled and there's not a period of rest or play or resetting in your day, talk to whomever your teacher is, whether it's your caregiver or an external teacher, to incorporate that in your day. If you're in a traditional school setting, you can petition for rest breaks at school. Some of y'all have like study halls, and I think that that's great to catch up on work. But I think that if we remember that the function of racism and capitalism and all of these systems is to exhaust us, to reintroduce play and rest into our routine now is something that will stick with you in the future so that you don't have to recover from the environments that you're a part of. So you can circulate petitions asking for more rest breaks at school. It can be as simple as, I'm exhausting myself running from Spanish to AP literature, and we need another couple of minutes to pass through classes, and circulate that and submit it to your school administrators. You can organize a day of play in your neighborhood, and a day of play could be anything from kickball, yoga, getting together in the park to fly kites, meditation, hiking, sunbathing, or connecting with a friend for shared activities. When we go into a state of rest, we reset our brains, and it tells our brains that the environment that we are in, whether it's uncertain or unpredictable, it lets our bodies feel like it's okay. So playing right now with all of the uncertainty in the world is a way to reset your body and a way to share safety with others in a way that might not feel burdensome. If you're in Indiana or beyond, you can also contact an organization called Playworks. They bring Black play into communities and they really center the focus of play in communities.
This is
Mia and
awesome
Chloe.
information, Miss Jess. Yeah, Mia, you see what Mia, I like to read more investor books for $20 and play outside with the neighbors for 1 hour. Mia has a good support system around her. Somebody told her if she read books, she's going to get paid. I love it.
I love that. So youth are often said to be the future, and while you do have lives to grow into, you're also active participants in the communities, like Claudette Colvin, who, even though she was the one to jumpstart the Montgomery bus boycott, it was a bit beyond that. She was also a co-plaintiff in a lawsuit that caused for the state to change its mind on what was on the books at the time. You can write letters like Murray Copeny, who wrote a letter to President Obama at the time that resulted in her city of Flint, Michigan, receiving $100 million in support. You live in the neighborhoods, you're affected by the rules, the policies, the laws, and you possess important voices about what's best for you, your friends, and your families. However you decide to acknowledge Black August, whether it is to rest and play, whether it is to study, train, fight, or fast, I hope that this summer ends on good notes for all of you. If your needs aren't being met, I hope that you feel empowered to name what those needs are and that you have the resources, the community support, and the care that you deserve to live into your best self.
Sanaya and Elisa said, I wrote to our mayor and to the White House. Come on. Let me tell you something. Don't be scared to just because you're a kid, it's your advantage. Because you got to think, the presidents get so many letters, but if they see a little kid envelope, they're gonna say, what's this little kid talking about? So you guys are, can we just give it up in the chat for Miss Jess? Y'all know how we do it. Can we just show her love in the chat, please? How awesome is she? How fun is she? Yes, you just punch all the letters, y'all. There you go. You can mix some numbers in there. That's standing ovation right there, Miss Jess. That's standing ovation. Yes, Kendall liked you a lot. A lot. Miss Mariah, how important was Miss Jess just now?
Man, amazing presentation. Jess is a gem, okay? She needs to be protected at all costs, okay?
Agreed.
She's amazing, and we love her. And I'm gonna brag on her a little bit because she does so much, in this community. She contributes so much to the city of Indianapolis, and she is a light worker. This is very hard work. This is thankless work. This is work that you have to commit to for a lifetime. And to see her grow in it, to see her lead, to see her show how to love on yourself and encourage to rest as well. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I'm just happy that she was able to be here, that you guys were able to hear her. I hope you learned a lot. And guess what? You can show us what you learned. You can capture it on TikTok, Instagram, Snap, whatever it is, and tag the Walker Theater in it so we can see what you took from today's lesson. We love you, Miss Jess. Please continue to show up and be you because you are needed, you are special, you are loved. So
come on. We're about giving flowers right now, Miss Jess.
Thank you, Miss Mariah.
You get all the flowers every
Thank
day.
you, Mr. Griff.
Yes,
thank you, Miss Tanasha, for the invite, and Madam Walker. I always love being with y'all. Yeah, let's get an air horn going. Come on.
You are.
If any of the youth have any questions on how to put something like this together, whether it's in person or virtual, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I included my email in the chat. Please hit me up, even if it's just a question on, a book that you're curious about or recommendations. I want to make sure that y'all have resources following this as well.
And our viewer from South Africa says Miss Jess is what we call a umbokodo up in our country. Big ups. You're a umbokodo from South Africa. How about that?
Thank y'all.
Miss Jess, you were awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for the kids, if you have any questions, like and before we let her go, because we only have a couple minutes left, but we just want you to know one thing: get your parents' permission before you do anything. We are all for kids going to the school and saying that we need longer lunches or shorter whatever. But get your parents' permission so at least they know when they go to the school, they know what their kid was doing during the day. So we totally appreciate you guys. And I don't know about you, Miss Mariah, but were you reading some of the comments in the chats? We got a special bunch of kids this year.
Absolutely. Everybody has so many good comments, so many great questions.
Yes.
Just like tuned in. I love it.
Well, is there any more questions before we go? Any more questions for Miss Jess? Is there? My camera just went off. And make sure you share everything at Walker Theater. And they spell theater different. They spell it theatre. Walker Theatre. Walker Theatre. It's the French way of spelling theater. Theatre.
Yeah.
Walker Theatre is probably some copyright infringements on the other one, but we'll take theatre as the same thing. How about that? That looks awesome. Can I play Miss Jess in some chess? That's what, she wants to smoke. So,
we can figure out how to get a game going. We can definitely figure out how to get a game going. Yeah.
I like that. I love kids. That's about that life. Let's go.
My mama is on, y'all.
Yeah, and we love her. Hey, Mom.
Is she? Which one is your mom?
Miss Mall.
I was wondering who Miss Mall was. Oh, yeah, I should have known. Come on, mama. Proud mama moment right there. That's what that is. Exactly.
My mama and my partner are on. Shout out to both of them.
Miss Jess, thank you so much for coming on. We thank you. One more time, y'all, for Miss Jess as we go. Big applause. And she said she liked those, so I will give them to her. How about that? Thank you, Miss Mariah. First day of the fourth annual Madam Walker Legacy Center Camp. How cool was this?
It was wonderful. I don't know if everybody knows on the call, but in addition to doing this workshop every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're also coming on site to do walk and talk tours around the Madam Walker building and Indiana Avenue. So if you're interested in that, send us an email, parents, and let's get you connected. You can take a tour and still participate in this workshop on site. So just let us know.
I took the tour.
It was amazing.
I took the tour. The tour is awesome. The tour guide is my man. He is going to teach you some things that you would never even know before. So if you could give today's class a grade, kids, what grade would you give the class? Put it in chat. Oh, here they come. Miss Jessica. Miss Jess just showed her self-love. A+. I'm not, you know what, Miss Jess, let me also give you let me give you an A+++. Star put S++, but I think the S is next to the A. So I'm assuming that was A. 100%. Here go a bunch of pluses. Sanaa has the most pluses on the whole planet. So I love that. And make sure you guys sign up for the tour at MadamWalkerLegacyCenter.com. Again, and somebody said I don't know all those zillions circles. I think it's like billion and trillion and I don't know, but she's getting all those. How about that? And That's what they learned for the class. Now, remember, tomorrow, I'm excited, is the Kenyatta's Dance Company. That dance company is the best. How about that? They're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to learn some things through improv and acting from leaders at Asante Art Institute. I love them. They have been with us. This will be their 4th year. Also, special thanks again to our supporters that made this camp possible. Lilly Endowment Inc., Nina Mason Pulliam Charitable Trust, the Indiana Arts Commission, the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative, the Indy Arts Council, and the City of Indianapolis. We will see you guys tomorrow. On behalf of myself, my name is Griff. If you go online, I'm at 2 trillion on everything. The number 2, the word trillion. Mariah, how can they reach you?
You can find me at Mariah Ivy _, and you can also find me at The Walker's Theater.
How about that? Before we go, CJ says they have a question. CJ, what's the question? Will we be able to see other people's cameras next time? They're talking about the students. Will you be able to see like the students' cameras? We'll work on it. How about that? I will talk to the people at the Walker Theater, and we will work on it. You guys have an amazing day. Have the best day ever, and go do something great. Take care. I love these kids.
Yes.
Are we still